Okay, hi. Welcome to the EpiDoc tutorials. This is part of the a series of online EpiDoc tutorials that you'll be able to find a full list of at the URL given down at the bottom of the screen here. Today's tutorial is about the EFES publication tool. We're talking specifically today about using the EFES publication tool for loading and displaying your EpiDoc files that you've been producing as examples while you're experimenting and practicing with EpiDoc. So you can find the EFES tool from here, and there's download information there, which we'll explain all of that in this tutorial. Everything that we explain in this tutorial, you can also find in slightly more detail as a step-by-step in the user guide. So please do follow this. I've put the URL to the user guide down at the bottom of the screen now. And please do use this to follow through as you follow the exercise. This tutorial is very much a walkthrough of that. And so we're only, as I say, giving the introduction to starting up EFES, installing it, and doing enough preparation to be able to display your individual EpiDoc files in a web browser. Any other features of EFES, such as customizing it, such as using it to index, using a search interface, we're not going to cover in this tutorial. All of that information you can find in the user guide as well, and you can follow all of that. EFES has been it has been suggested that EFES can be used as well as a publication tool, as a testing environment, and that's very similar to what we're using it for the purposes of this tutorial. Is basically viewing your results as you're working, rather than thinking of it as the platform in which you'll do your final publication. There's more discussion of that use of EFES in that environment in a paper that Polina and I produced last year. But so today, yes, we're focusing on EFES, and my colleagues Polina Yordanova from Helsinki and Irene Vagionakis from Bologna are going to give you the actual tutorial. So I'll hand over to Polina for the first part.
Thank you, Gabby. So I'm going to tell you how to download EFES on your computer and how to set it up and running so that you can view your files in it. And then Irene will take over and show you how to actually view your files, where you need to put them, how you will be displaying them, and all of that. So if you follow the link that Gabby last showed, and you get to the repository on GitHub where we keep EFES, you will see a green button that you need to click on in order to get the code for the platform. If you want, you can clone the repository on your machine if you're familiar with Git, or you can just download the folder as a zipped folder, which I have already done, so as to save you from having to wait for the download with me. And I have put it in a place in my computer where I would remember it would be. You can put it on your desktop or somewhere else in your file system, but just remember where it is so that you can access it later. And you'll see why this is very important. Also, I would like to remind you, Windows users, that when you download this will be a zipped folder, so you need to unzip it if you want to interact with EFES in any way. Unzipping it and opening it, you will see that EFES is just a bunch of folders with a bunch of files in them. And this is one of the levels on which you will be interacting with the platform. So one of it is here in your file browser, in your file navigation system, and the other is in the web browser of your choice, where you will be viewing your files. So if you want to start EFES on a Windows computer, and later Irene will show you how to do this on a Mac, you need to access your computer's command prompt. If you don't know where it is, you can simply search for it like so. And this is what you'll see. Let me make this a bit bigger so it's easier to read. So we need to access our EFES folder now. So we will be typing some commands here. This is all, as Gabby mentioned, written out step by step in the user guide. So if you are a bit confused regarding the command prompt, or you're not certain what to do, you can pause the video here and go and see everything in a list of actions that need to be undertaken, and then proceed. So what we will be typing here, without any spaces or anything, in lowercase, would be CD, which stands for change directory. And since my EFES folder has been downloaded to my desktop, I will type space desktop slash, and I will specify the folder where EFES lives, which here is called EFES master. So this is what I write. Now, if this is the only EFES related thing on your desktop, you can just press the tab key on your keyboard and it will autocomplete. Otherwise, make sure that you're not making any spelling mistakes or typos as you're typing this along. So at this point, we are telling our command prompt that we want to enter the directory EFES master, which is on our desktop. So I press the enter, and the command prompt says that we're already there. So I need to type in build.bat, which will open the file that will start up the server that will support EFES. And again, I press the enter key. So some things start happening here. We don't need to care about them too much until we get this message that the development server is running. You need to copy this address here and go to it in your browser. It is a good place here to remind you and to tell you, and so that you keep in mind that if you want to be running EFES, you have to be running the command prompt for as long as you're working with EFES. So we can't just close the command prompt now and go on with our work, but we need to keep it open in the background while we are working with EFES. So I will open my browser and paste the address that I have copied. Oops, paste that. Why doesn't that work? All right, so this worked for me fairly quickly, was managed to load this, but you need to have in mind that sometimes it takes longer for the server to start. And although you have been given this message that the server is already running, you might be getting some error message here when you try to go to this address. So just be patient, allow it 2 to 3 minutes, or even more. Just keep refreshing it until this is what you see. There is, for Windows users, an alternative way to start EFES, which would be, let me close that so I show you. If you open the folder EFES master and you double click on the build batch file, it will automatically start your command prompt and it will run EFES on it. For the purposes of just viewing your files and adding new files, this will be a good way for Windows users to start the EFES platform. So from here, Irene will take on showing you how to put your files in the system and how to view them and how to index and harvest them.
Okay, so let's start from seeing how to run EFES on a Mac instead of on a Windows. The first part is the same, so you have to go here and click on code, and you can either open it on GitHub Desktop or cloning it or downloading. In this case, I've downloaded the zip file. It's here, and I have already unzipped it, but again, as in Windows, you have to unzip it before doing anything with EFES. And at this point, you have to open the command line or terminal, as it is called on a Mac, and you can go into programs or applications, and here inside the utility folder, you should find the terminal. And it's taking a while to load, and I'm increasing the font. So here we repeat the same commands that we have seen on Windows, but they change slightly. So the first command is for entering the folder, and we type cd, as in this case. And in this case, my folder is on my desktop, so I can type desktop. But be careful, because on a Mac you have to remember to use the / instead of the backslash that we showed in the previous example. And then I can type the name of the folder, so EFES master. And after that, we type a second command for running EFES, which is sh build.sh. And now we see the same thing as before. Several messages will appear in the terminal, but you can understand that everything is fine if you see this message: development server is running @ followed by this link. Now you can either copy the link and paste it on a browser, or otherwise you can click and open the URL in the browser. I'm copying it and pasting it here, and it takes a while to load. It's slowly running, and here it is. So also on a Mac, you have to remember to keep the terminal open, otherwise EFES won't be working. So now, before starting working with our EFES files, our EpiDoc files on EFES, we have to do a thing that needs to be done just the first time that you're running EFES, not every time you're using it. And this is creating a CSAM repository. So you can do this going on admin, and then on components, on CSAM, and then admin. Here we have to create a new repository, and we have to choose the type in-memory store, RDF schema, and direct type hierarchy. And then in ID we have to type kiln, all lowercase, and the title has to be left empty. Then we can click on next, and then without changing anything, we can click on create. And now we can go back to our admin, and we have to harvest all and then index all. Harvest all takes all the information from the authority list, but it doesn't. It's not important for you at this stage. You just have to get to this page with all the messages saying succeeded. Then you can go back and now click on index all. Until you see this. Now we can go to the home page of EFES, and we can go to inscriptions. Here now we see a list of inscriptions, which are some sample files that have been pre-installed on EFES. You can find them inside the EFES folder. And if you click on one of those, you can see a sample EpiDoc file which has been transformed using the XSLT EpiDoc style sheets. So you can see an interpretive and diplomatic edition and all the other parts of the edition. And there are also some other parts of the site. For example, there is a search facility. Here you see a list of all of the inscriptions that have been inserted in EFES, and you can search, perform textual searches, and there are also some facets, some filters for browsing the inscriptions according to several aspects, and there's also a time slider for finding inscriptions according to their date. And there are also some indices which list all the indexed terms. For example, you can see the personal names here, or some lemmata of marked up words. And we have also a concordance, a bibliographic concordance. For example, by clicking here, we can find all the inscriptions of which have an edition in this publication. But we won't focus on this. Our aim now is just to learn how to upload your EpiDoc file and see and display them with EFES. So as Polina said before, EFES works on 2 levels. So we have the browser level, which is the one we are looking at this moment, but we have also the folder structure level, which is the one living on your computer. So let's enter the folder and see where you have to put your EpiDoc files. So I've just entered the folder by double clicking on it, so no terminal is needed for this. And then I have to enter web apps, then root, then content, then XML, and then EpiDoc. Here you can see 15 XML files, which are the sample files that we have seen listed in inscriptions, in the inscriptions page. And here you can just copy the XML file that you have been producing and editing with Oxygen or any other XML editor. And as for the file structure, as for the folder structure, it's very important to remember not to rename anything. So do not change the folders that exist here. The folder structure is quite complex, but it has to stay as it is. So do not move folders, do not rename them, and do not create subfolders. So just put your files here and not inside other subfolders. And I think this is pretty much all, everything for displaying your inscription. So after you have put your inscription here, you will find them in admin, listed among the new among the EpiDoc inscriptions. And if you want to display them also in the inscriptions list, you have to index all or harvest all and then index all again, and then go to home in inscriptions, and you will find your new files also listed here. And I think this is pretty much everything. Gabby, Polina, do you want to add anything at this point?
No, I think that's pretty much everything. Just a reminder again that, sorry, wrong link, that everything that you've been shown here is also laid out step by step in the user guide, which you should probably also follow as you're doing this. Great, cool. Thank you both very much.